The man I loved was hiding something monstrous. Are you sitting down? That's the kind of question that freezes your blood, even before what follows has a chance to. My sister's voice trembled, teetering on the brink of some unseen precipice. My heart seized with a familiar dread reserved for moments promising upheaval. She'd stumbled across a TikTok, she explained, featuring Matt, my fiancé, my partner through the most ordinary, yet extraordinary days. What struck her most wasn't just the sight of him, but the stark, explosive caption screaming, "When your ex is about to marry your sister." I wanted to scoff it off. Surely, some vicious prank. But the virality of the video hinted at layers I hadn't seen. My knees threatened to give as the truth crashed around me. My wedding loomed, shadowed now by confusion and unease. Yet, a greater fear throttled me. What if seeking the truth shattered everything I believed? The apartment feels cavernous when it's just me and the dim glow of my phone screen. Alone again, surrounded by the familiar clutter of our life together that suddenly feels alien, like I'm in a stranger's space. My heart thrums in my chest, each pulse a reminder of what waits on the other side of the scrolling white tiles of TikTok. My fingers twitch, and before I can second-guess, I tap on the video. Sarah's face fills the screen, and it's like a punch to the gut. Her smile, the one I fell for, genuine, wide, seeming to hold the world, causing faces to mirror it. But now, it contorts, her eyes shimmering with something that was once ours. The video embeds itself in my retinas, unbidden and invasive. She speaks directly to the camera as if to me, as if the world were her confidant, sharing what was supposed to be between packed boxes and whispered promises. I absent-mindedly run my thumb along the edge of the phone, its smooth surface contrasting the roughness of my emotions. Each word out of her mouth is like a hook dragging me back into a past I thought we'd left behind. The video is half gone before I notice my fists are clenched, knuckles white, trembling slightly. "This was our moment," she says, and somewhere in the background, the ambient sounds of city life pulse beneath her voice. She captures them, the unseen, commenting thousands, and pulls them into her narrative, a spider weaving a web with me stuck, a desperate fly. The cascade of notifications buzzes, each ping a fresh wound. I trace the toxic comments, their poison seeping through the screen into my bloodstream. "Did you know he was such a piece of work?" One asks as if I might respond. "Girl, you dodged a bullet." Another mocks, unknowingly cutting into reality with their oblivious judgment. Her video plays on loop, a cyclical torment. I should stop it, turn it off, silence the taunting voices. Yet, morbid curiosity roots me in place, eyes tethered to her like some twisted devotion. Betrayal festers, doubt replays archived conversations. Was it all a performance for this encore? My mind swirls, dancing on the edge of rationality while my heart pounds against its bone cage. The laughter echoing from the screen scrambles my thoughts. I'm caught in her stage, a reluctant extra in our tragic comedy. My leg bounces, restless energy seeking release, drowning in the injustice of it all. I want to scream, to reach through this sterile digital barrier and demand answers. How can she be this calm? How could she lay bare what we shared? A sudden rush of text, comments rolling forth like an avalanche, tumbles across my screen. My vision blurs momentarily as I scroll, faster, skimming the brutal critiques, the insinuations. They twist, intertwining with Sarah's words, each loop another knot in the narrative strangling me. Amidst this sea of virtual strangers, I feel invisible and utterly, profoundly alone. It's a void, one she filled once full of warmth and light. Now I'm left groping in the shadows of her public persona. I swallow hard, tasting bile at the back of my throat. Every imagined scenario spirals into darker places, and I'm the only witness to this unraveling. Resentment sparks beneath my skin, setting off a chain reaction of doubt and rage, the kind that threatens to burn everything to ashes. But maybe that's what she wants. Clean the slate, charred and irreversible. A final comment catches my eye, simple yet searing. "You don't deserve you." And I can't shake the feeling they're right, that in this twisted game of public display, Sarah's wielded her story while I flounder, drowning in its wake. Reality crashes back, and a single clear thought emerges amid the tempest. I need to confront her, to pull back the curtain she's draped over our lives. I close my phone, the screen going blank like my clarity. The shadows of what must be done stretch long, pulling me toward an unavoidable confrontation. Have you ever been so sure of someone, only to find yourself drowning in doubt? The question lingered between us like a cigarette haze, heavy and clinging even after the air should have cleared. Matt sat across from me, his hands clasped together as if in silent prayer. I remember thinking how absurdly calm he seemed in that moment. Or maybe it wasn't calm at all, but a strange, taut kind of tension, waiting for the right string to snap. Why, Matt? The words fell before I realized I'd spoken them, raw and jagged. His eyes, usually a refuge, were now stormy and distant, and I can't help but wonder what secrets are trapped there. He breathed in deeply before speaking, a slow, steadying kind of breath that made my patience threadbare, brittle. It's complicated, he said, his voice just a notch above a whisper. Complicated, I echoed, disbelief sharpening my tone. I'm just asking for the truth. I'm trying, he said, his gaze finally meeting mine. I wished it hadn't. Those brown eyes were like tides, pulling me under with possibilities, lies, half-truths, tangled hopes kept too long in the dark. The room around us shrank as if the walls were closing in, each quiet second a tick louder than the last. Matt's fingers drummed an erratic beat on the table, searching for rhythm in the chaos. We shouldn't do this here, he suggested softly, glancing around nervously. The cafe, usually a place of comfort, now felt stifling, every clink of a cup a jarring intrusion, every glance from a passerby a spotlight on our unraveling. I nodded stiffly, standing before I had fully decided to move, moving like one on autopilot. We walked outside, the cool air a sharp contrast to the sickening warmth of the scene we'd left behind. Matt's hand brushed against mine as we walked, a gesture that once would have sparked warmth now felt foreign, unwelcome. We stopped at the edge of the sidewalk, shadows of passing cars cutting across us in fleeting patterns. There was a raw, guttural sound of city life that pressed in from every side, but it faded beneath the swell of my heartbeat. Each pulse thudded with questions, about us, about what he had done or hadn't done. Matt? I urged again, my need for reassurance battling my instinct for retreat. What do you want me to say? His voice cracked, exposing something raw beneath his protective guise. Vulnerability, fear, or was it just his exasperation mirroring my own desperation? I want you to be honest, I managed, a trembling plea on the edge of breaking. Did you do it? His hesitation was louder than the city itself, a pause so long I began bracing for the worst, my hands curling into fists so tight the nails bit into my palms. When he finally spoke, his words came out slow and measured, struggling under the weight of their own significance. I never meant for it to get this far. It was a confession, and yet not. A glint of truth, or just the masterful mask of vagueness he'd cultivated. His words bolstered neither innocence nor guilt, leaving me stranded in between. That's not an answer, Matt. I pressed, my voice breaking with impatience and heartbreak fused into one turbulent storm. He reached out suddenly, his grip firm, almost desperate. Please, you have to believe me, he urged, but the plea was too late. The junction of our clasped hands was an electric line drawn between what was and what couldn't be taken back. The silence swallowed us whole, no sanctuary to be found. Standing there, amidst the city's heartbeat, only doubt remained, circling us like a predator, sealing our fates with quiet inevitability. Her apartment smells like books and something faintly herbal, the kind of scent that's almost medicinal, but not quite. It lulls and gnaws at the same time, like stepping into an old library whose histories breathe heavier than the paper itself. Sarah's voice leads me into this world of hers, a siren of gravity, drawing curiosity past the point of no return. She ushers me to a worn couch, fabric faded by stories overheard and tensions absorbed in quiet shade between passing decades of women before us. Her eyes catch mine. They hold me there, in the crossfire of questions I hadn't the courage to form until now. Sarah looks away first, picking at a loose thread on her sleeve that seems to unravel into the air with memories sharper than the room's soft light suggests. I thought you should know, she starts, voice thick as if battling against a tide lodged somewhere deep in her chest. You deserve the full picture, not just his side. He's always been charismatic, hasn't he? The way she says charismatic slices like a knife hiding in a compliment. Something dangerous lurking beneath charm's smooth veneer. I nod, an automatic response, my mouth dry and voiceless under the weight of what I desperately need to understand. Every word she offers is a jagged stone thrown at the fragile glass house of my reality, each one shattering delusions I didn't know flecked the panes. Did he ever tell you about our summer in Portland? Her question is gentle yet piercing, like the blade of a scalpel with precision keen and merciless. I am silent, the implication unraveling in the shadows between seconds, minutes, any unit of time suddenly rendered meaningless. My silence stretches, heavy with unspoken words, a confession of its own. I hadn't known. Matt never spoke of Portland, as if entire chapters of his life were erased from the book he let me read. Her laughter sounds like a brittle echo bouncing off the thin walls. Of course, he wouldn't have, she breathes. There's no need for explanation. The air itself rustles with unspoken losses lying in the crevices between us. We were intense. For a time. He had this way of pulling you in, making you feel like every moment mattered. Until it didn't. A memory stirs within me, brief flashes of moments Matt had woven into the tapestry of our shared narrative. Threadbare patches I'd accepted as normal suddenly seem vibrant, hauntingly incomplete in light of her revelations. Loyalty and doubt twist inside me, one moment coiling over the other, a serpent eating its own tail. She slides a photograph across the table. Portland, captioned with a flourish of ink, dated in a script too familiar, yet estranged. The image is grainy but captures an undeniable warmth I'd always believed uniquely mine. Their eyes meeting over a beaming smile, a stolen moment fossilized in time, now rematerialized to mock my foolish devotion. I didn't realize, I whisper, more to myself than her. The words come thick and stick to my throat on their way up. Grief and betrayal, twin emotions simmering under the surface, threaten to spill over. But you do now, she replies, eyes softening with understanding, like we're sharing a secret no longer hidden beneath layers of time. We sit in the quiet for what feels like hours, both knowing my exit looms, but neither quite willing to push forward toward the finality of a door closing. Her bare truths fill the silence between us, requiring nothing and yet costing everything. When I stand, Sarah's presence lingers, the weight of her truth, the echo of her pain, infusing itself into the fibers of my being where clarity and confusion duel in equal measure. I leave her with a parting glance that promises unspoken resolutions, stepping back into the world outside that now feels unspeakably vast and unfamiliar. I trace the screen with trembling fingertips, etching the outlines of a forgotten lie across my heart. The cold light from Sarah's phone screen is the only thing illuminating the dim room. It feels like it's burning into my retinas, but that's nothing compared to the blaze that's consuming my insides. I can barely focus as I sift through the messages, one by one, each glowing word slashing at whatever remained of my shattered sense of reality. Look, she says, her voice barely above a whisper, but heavy enough to crush mountains. Her fingers hover over the screen, hesitant yet urgent, as if she's presenting an ancient relic dug up from the depths, too dangerous to handle, but impossible to ignore. I sense the tremor in her hand and see the glistening tears wavering at the edge of her lashes, held back by sheer will. My heart lurches. In these moments, vulnerability hangs between us like a visceral mist. The past isn't just present, it's alive, snarling, demanding acknowledgement. More than ghosts, these are truths that have taken flesh, and I am not prepared to meet them. My breath catches as I swipe through photos, each one a bullet to the chest. I can almost hear the click of the trigger with each flick of my thumb. Matt's eyes stare back at me from the digital past. His smile, so familiar and once a source of comfort, now a mocking twist of features, twisted, distorted by betrayal. I want to tear my eyes away, but I'm transfixed, morbidly mesmerized by the memories that spin a story all too different from the one I'd believed. Their shared laughter, their stolen moments captured forever in single, damning frames. Every smile was a knife, every touch a testament. This was before, Sarah insists, her voice taut with the strain of old anguish mixed with fresh resentment. Before you. Her eyes lock onto mine, searching for understanding, or perhaps complicity. I nod numbly, but it feels like a lie, a lame attempt at dissonance. Before me, perhaps, yet these were the same hands, the same lips that promised me forever, even as their echoes lingered in another's heart. The heat of anger wars with the ice of despair in my blood. A part of me screams to throw the phone, to shatter the screen and erase these incriminating artifacts. But that wouldn't erase the truth, would it? Truths hang like invisible weights, dragging everything else into a murky abyss where no amount of denial can reach. I swallow hard, my throat convulsing around a name that doesn't belong here, at least not now, not haunting these shadows. Why are you showing me this? The words come out harsher than intended, clipped, a bitter concoction of betrayal and desperation. Because, she stammers, her gaze never wavering, you deserve to know. To really know the person you're about to tie your life to. Her logic is a cruel savior, dragging one to the shallows when the tide threatens to engulf. Anger twines with an insidious tenderness as I watch her struggle against the tide of emotion. It's not just anger at her, but at the universe's ceaseless currents, at fate's insistence that I see what I've been blind to, or have refused to see until now. Her bravery makes my denial feel like cowardice. The world feels unmoored, yet Sarah's steady gaze anchors me, even as it forces me to confront the implications. As I lower the phone, the room rests in a hush so profound it weighs tangibly against my skin. The truth is raw, undeniable, a living specter. With that haunting certainty, I know there will be no easy way forward. The weight of decision, to flee or to fight for what we might still have, looms, a storm of doubt and fear brimming just over the horizon. This is only the beginning. The real reckoning lies ahead, shrouded in the murk of a future once imagined as bliss. The moonlight spills over the pages, a mockery of future promises now untethered and rudderless. I'm sitting on the cold floor of what was supposed to be our office, bridal magazines scattered like fallen leaves around me. Our half-written vows are tucked between them, poignant and accusing, as if daring me to pen what's next in a language that might as well be foreign now. I trace the indents of near-empty pages, the ink smeared from my clumsy, tear-stained fingers that once held certainty. The words hover ghost-like over the rigid formality of pre-written scripts we vowed never to use. We wanted authenticity, didn't we? Wanted each word to hold weight, to craft vows as solid as the bedrock we imagined anchoring our lives. And here I am, weightless, spinning in a vacuum of betrayal and doubt. My eyes settle on a picture of a bride, her veil cascading like whispers of innocence lost. She looks out into forever, and I wonder if her gaze hides fear too. The fear that even promises shared with earnestness don't guarantee forever. My own reflection in the window is a ghost, fragmented and incomplete. I barely recognize myself. The silence of the room is pierced only by the soft ticking of an old clock, each second a reminder of time slipping through my fingers like grains of sand. How did we get here, to this maelstrom of forgiveness and fury? How do I navigate this choice, this impossible balance between holding on and letting go? I close my eyes, and the room fills with your laugh, that infectious, booming sound that once cradled all my fragile places. I feel the warmth of your hands, the gentle squeeze you gave whenever I wandered too deep into thought, grounding me, reminding me to stay present. But those days seem locked behind a door I'm not sure I have the key to anymore. I reach for the vows again, fingers shaking as they brush against your careful handwriting. You wrote about patience, about imperfections, how love is a journey of acceptance and growth. But what if the things I must accept are daggers too sharp? Can I heal without breaking again and again? My heart flexes against its cage, a mix of nostalgia and nausea. There's a part of me that still clings to the dance we shared under offset chandeliers, the stolen kisses in the shadows, the dreams whispered in tired, half-asleep stupor under a canopy of stars. Yet shadows loom larger now, darker with secrets we never warned each other about. Each crumpled page, each unreadable vow I tossed aside, is a snapshot of a dream now hard to resurrect. I take a deep breath, the air thick and heavy, my lungs struggling under the weight of unspoken words. I know decisions must be made. I know I must find clarity amidst these confusing currents, where love feels both an anchor and a storm. The moon creeps across the room, a slow crawl that glides over the ink, casting elongated shadows that stretch truth into untruth and back again. Is there grace in forgiving without understanding, in moving forward without answers? I want to demand the impossible from love, to demand purity without stain, truth without question. But the heart does not obey such tidy commands. I'm caught in this bittersweet dance between what was and what could be, swaying to a rhythm only betrayal and promises broken can compose. A cleansing tear slips down, crashing onto the page, blurring lines, creating new paths out of smudged ink. Maybe there's beauty in that, in the unpredictability, in the chaos that births new beginnings. And maybe, just maybe, there's still a chance to rewrite this story, my story, in the ink of a new dawn. The cosmos turns, the moon pulls away, and I'm left with only echoes. Yet somewhere in the darkness, a spark flickers, the hope that tomorrow might bring clarity, and perhaps even peace. Their voices are like echoes in my mind, swirling and clashing, never ceasing. They fill the room, bouncing off the walls, eyes fixed on me in a half-circle that feels more like an interrogation than a friendly gathering. This is where I thought I'd find answers. Instead, it's only chaos. Anna starts, her voice a gentle wave trying to soothe over the jagged rocks of my uncertainty. "You deserve to be happy," she says, but her words are drowned out almost immediately by Jack's emphatic hand gestures and a sharper tone slicing through the air. "This isn't just about happiness. You know that, right?" His eyes narrow, each word falling like a gavel, heavy and unyielding. The room is thick with contrast, their opinions clashing like swords at dawn. I retreat into myself, pulled back and forth in the tide of their well-meaning advice. It's a tornado of loud, swirling advice, every sentence a gust that sends me spinning further from any kind of solid ground. "Leave him. It's toxic and you know it," Carly insists, her voice a spear finding its mark with each syllable. I flinch, the truth of her words like a brand against my skin. Each time she says it, the word toxic expands, filling the room with an acrid scent that only I seem to smell. The truth is, I can't argue with her, yet some part of me wishes I could. Wishes I might defend him, not because he deserves it, but because it might make things simpler. But nothing is simple. Not anymore. I'm not saying it's easy. Anna tries again, softer now, almost pleading. "But you need to think about what's right for you, too." Their voices overlap, a cacophony of "leave him" and "follow your heart," each an arrow aiming to dictate my path. They pull my heart in different directions, the pull of past and the push of potential futures. I want to scream over the noise, to make them stop, to find a quiet place inside myself where their words can't reach. "He's not a bad person," I whisper, more to myself than anyone else, but the words barely exist in the din. It's a threadbare defense, weak even in my own ears, but it's the only tether I have to hold on to, something to make this turmoil feel less like the end of something I once held dear. It's like clutching at shadows, real only in their darkness. "But is he good for you?" It's Elena this time, her calm breaking through the storm like a breath of air. I can't answer. The question hangs in the air, crystallizing, falling around us like fragile snowflakes of a bitter winter. Every second that passes without an answer from me is another second they think they're right, and perhaps they are. But I feel so small amidst their certainty, their voices so much bigger than my doubt, and hope confused into a single mass in my chest. Indecision sits heavy on my shoulders, a weight growing with each opinion, pushing me deeper into the chair. I stare at the coffee table littered with empty cups and crumpled napkins, as the conversations veer off, split into little streams that trickle out, tangling around me like fingers pointing every which way, boxing me in. I wish I could step outside my own skin, look at myself from someone else's eyes, see what they see. But all I have is this internal chaos, the thundering drum of indecision that beats in tandem with their words. It's not just his mistakes I'm tied to. It's the way we laughed, the way he held me when no one else would, when the world turned away. But those moments feel buried now under layers of mistrust, each layer a voice, a friend, a piece of my fractured heart trying to find where it belonged all along. And as the night folds around us, their voices blur into a single, overwhelming plea: choose. But how do you choose when you're lost in the cacophony of your own thoughts? The room is a swirl of colors, faded and stark, encapsulating the whirl in my mind. At some point, the words lose meaning, mere sounds against the pressure building inside me like a dam about to break. I don't know where this ends, but something shifts inside me, a hint of clarity in the haze, a sliver of self needing to surface before I drown entirely. The room is cloaked in the kind of silence that magnifies the smallest of sounds, the gentle rustle of sheets, the soft creak of the bed as I turn, uneasy. It's the darkness of night that embraces regrets and secrets, wrapping them tightly in its inky folds. I didn't hear Matt come in. He's always been like that, moving with a quiet stealth born of too many nights slipping in after fights he pretended not to want. As I stir, my heart skips, a silent stutter in the chest when I realize there's something under my pillow that's not supposed to be there. I reach for it, fingers grazing the corner of crumpled paper, pulling it out gingerly, as if it might explode into 1,000 truths I'm not ready to face. The paper is cool, slightly damp with my midnight sweat, and the ink, blue, or maybe black, has formed little islands where tears have dammed up feelings suppressed for years. I sit up, barely breathing, the dim glow of streetlights filtering through the curtains just enough to make out the hurried scrawl that is unmistakably Matt's, a script only I can decipher after years of notes passed under tables, between classes, now under pillows. His apologies and admissions strung together, an intricate tapestry of remorse, hang in the air, palpable, tangible. I bite my lip to ground myself, the metallic taste of familiar comfort against the tide of emotions threatening to wreck my fragile composure. My fingers tremble as they trace the outline of each word, feeling their weight, their intentions. I'm sorry. It begins, and each sorry feels like a punch, softening as it lands, but leaving a bruise all the same. How many times have I wanted to hear that? How many times did I think it would be enough? The words continue, flooding over me, a deluge of confessions, of nights spent wondering, hoping, lying to myself. Each sentence a bridge to the past we thought we buried but resurrected in every glance, every touch that still lingered with promises unfulfilled. I know I took from you, he writes, a vulnerability so raw it takes my breath away. Like he's standing naked before me, every defense stripped away, nothing hidden in the folds of conversation that always stayed on the safer side of honesty. His handwriting swirls and dips, an ocean of ink bleeding into the fibers of the paper, the sincerity of his heartache palpable in every stroke. And I wonder if I can believe these apologies, not the words, but the man behind them. This moment offers a tether of hope, a sliver of reconciliation he's grasping for, drawing me towards a choice that is as much about necessity as it is about redemption. The letter ends, the silence returns, though it feels different now, less oppressive, more contemplative. Can I find forgiveness in the folds of a hastily written note? In the angled letters that mirror the corners of his smile? I close my eyes, briefly, letting the shadows play across my lids, imagining a world where this night's confession is the start of a new chapter, the ink not just an end, but a beginning. I fold the letter carefully, placing it gently back beneath the pillow, a weight settling over that space like a secret we're both too scared to uncover, yet too desperate not to. The bed creaks softly as I lie back, the taste of salty tears mingling with the hope that tomorrow, under the harsh light of day, this might mean something real, something more than paper soaked with emotion. And there, under the tentative promise of dawn beginning to break, I find myself whispering into the dark, unheard by anyone but the quiet. Please, let this be real. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the deserted chairs and floral archway. A gentle breeze stirred the petals, their fragrance mingling with the fading warmth of the day. My wedding day should have been perfect. It should have been the embodiment of dreams, promises, and love. But now, as I stood on the threshold of commitment, I was faced with the raw, unwavering truth of my own heart. The silence was thick. Each chair, neatly stacked in rows, seemed to whisper secrets only I could hear. Secrets of hope, betrayal, love, and unrelenting doubt. My heart pounded against my ribs, a persistent reminder that every beat carried me closer to a decision I couldn't evade any longer. I could hear the murmur of well-wishers inside, friends and family blissfully unaware of the storm brewing within me. This wasn't a moment for anyone else but me. My fingertips grazed the smooth, cool metal of the chair backs, grounding me in reality. The flowers, with their vibrant, almost desperate beauty, seemed to plead for an answer. Why did we always surround ourselves with beauty during times of potential tragedy? I wondered. Did we hope it would soften the blow? I inhaled deeply, the scent saturating my lungs, each breath a promise to face what lay ahead. Inside, they waited. They expected a bride. They expected certainty. And yet, I found myself yearning not for reassurance, but for an undeniable clarity. The day had arrived coated in anticipation and anxiety, tottering on the thin line between joy and sorrow. Yet now there was a strange serenity. The calm after the storm, or before it. Thoughts of him wrapped around me like a shroud. We had grown from promise to fault lines, from laughter to whispers in the dark. I replayed each moment that led us here, to this precipice, to this naked truth hanging in the air around me. Could love exist without trust? I didn't know if I could forgive. And if forgiveness was beyond me, could I even love at all? In the silence that follows my footsteps, I feel the weight of my decision solidify. This is my choice, my heartbeat's decree. I murmured to the wind, letting the words dissipate into the dying light. My voice was small yet steady, a fragile thing that carried the resolve I finally found within myself. A decision had taken root, deep and resilient, overriding the chaos of my thoughts with its sheer, potent certainty. I started to walk. The gravel crunched beneath my feet, a rhythmic echo to the thrumming inside my chest. Every step forward was a confirmation, a dismissal of what had once brought me to my knees with indecision. I was nudged by the remnants of my own desires and failings, but none of it could sway me now. I had found something beyond the wreckage, something that was mine alone. The doorway loomed ahead, a frame that led to both a new life and the continuation of an old one. I knew it was a moment that demanded all the courage I could muster, demanding that I embrace not only who I was with him, but who I was on my own. I reached for the handle, fingers trembling with the weight of my resolve, ready to step inside not just a venue, but into the culmination of my truth. What lay within was uncertain, a story yet unwritten, a path barely illuminated by choice. Before I entered, I paused. Just for a heartbeat, I let the silence envelop me one last time. A reminder, a goodbye, a herald of what was to come. With a breath that steadied the last quivers of my heart, I stepped across the threshold, a single step that transformed mere conviction into reality, carrying me into whatever awaited. It was strange how the quiet of my room seemed to wrap around me like a warm, comforting blanket now, when once it had been a shroud of solitude and despair. The faint glow of the computer monitor cast soft shadows against the walls, a gentle reminder of the world I had built and broken within that screen. Messages pinged softly, like distant echoes in a cave, each one a piece of my past whispering back to me from a distance I no longer feared. I leaned forward, face illuminated by the cool, artificial light. My fingers paused over the keyboard, hesitant, but no longer paralyzed by doubt. These messages that once dictated my nights, haunting me with reminders of who I'd been and who they thought I still was, they no longer had power here. I was rewriting my story now, with purpose, with conviction. The shadows on the screen danced as I scrolled through what was left of the chaos. There were words that used to sting, accusations that cut deeper than the sharpest knife, but their serrated edges were dulled by time, by the understanding I'd finally afforded myself. I was no longer the person those words skewered, trapped by their echo in an endless loop of guilt and shame. I rested my hands on the keyboard once more, drawing a deep, steadying breath. The air carried a hint of clean paper from the journal sitting beside me, an old-school relic in this digital age, each page littered with thoughts and dreams, a tangible testament to my resilience. With a final flick of my fingers, I began to type, but this time it wasn't in response to accusations or pleas for explanations. This time, my words were a declaration, a manifesto carved from lessons learned and scars healed. With each step into the unknown future, I carry only what I choose, wisdom, strength, and the untarnished heart I reclaimed. Every keystroke felt like a heartbeat, a rhythm that was mine alone. This virtual world that had once been a battlefield transformed into a canvas for my rebirth. I wasn't defined by what had happened, but by how I rose from it. With each word that flowed from me, I felt lighter, as if those same shadows that once crushed my spirit now carried me forward. I could almost feel the vibrations beneath me, the gentle hum of something new, something alive amidst the once suffocating silence. I paused, relishing in the newfound quietude that followed. The room no more than a sanctuary now, filled not with echoes of what was lost, but with the promise of what was to come. The cursor blinked patiently, the space before me open and unending. Each blink felt like an invitation, or maybe a challenge, to fill the void with whatever future I dared to dream. A soft tap on the window shifted my attention, a tree branch, guided by the night breeze, reminding me that outside this room was a world waiting to show me its infinite possibilities. I pulled away from the screen, letting my eyes adjust to the comfortable darkness around me. The past echoed softly but couldn't grasp me anymore. Its whispers had lost their power, serving only to remind me of how far I had come. There was peace in that. Peace in knowing that every fragment of the storm had been used to kindle a flame within me that those dark days could no longer extinguish. And so, with resolve, I turned off the monitor, sinking back into the comfort of the present, the weight of the past finally lifting. In the silence, I found my pulse once more, steady and sure, guiding me forward, into the warm embrace of the night, and into a dawn of my own making.